This is big breaking news. A major announcement was just made on taxes. This comes from Howard Lutnick. This is the Commerce Secretary under President Donald Trump. And he was doing an interview on Fox News giving the agenda for President Trump. And he is giving big news on what's coming for your taxes. So let's get into all the details here really quick, guys. Please just hit that like and hit that subscribe. I'm posting multiple videos every day, keeping you updated on this big news, and it just helps to get these warnings out. I appreciate that. So this is what's going on right now. He just gave this interview on Fox News, and he is saying that the plan is to get rid of income taxes or dramatically reduce them. We already have this bill that was passed by Congress just last week that is going to get rid of taxes on tips, get rid of taxes on Social Security income, because it's essentially like a double tax almost. And they are also trying to essentially get rid of federal income tax as well too. I want you to listen to Howard Lutnick really quick, and then we'll talk more about it and what's going on.
Tariffs are going to drive America better. Remember, we pay taxes into the Internal Revenue Service. Wouldn't it be amazing to stop paying taxes to the Internal Revenue Service and have the External Revenue Service of Make America Great Again replace our taxes? That's the goal of Donald Trump, and I think he's going to hit there. He's going to do everything he can to make that happen. Lower our taxes. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on seniors. Come on. This is an amazing country, and we are winning.
Now, off the back of what you said about the president's call with Justin Trudeau, he just put this out on Truth Social. He said, Justin Trudeau of Canada called me to ask what could be done about tariffs. I told him that many people have died from fentanyl that came through the borders of Canada and Mexico, and nothing has convinced me that it's stopped. He said that it's gotten better, but I said that's not good enough. The call ended in a somewhat friendly manner, the president says. He was unable to tell me when the Canadian election is taking place, which made me curious, like what's going on here. I then realized that he's trying to use this issue to stay in power. Good luck, Justin, the president said. So we'll see where this goes. Mr. Secretary, thank you for coming into.
All right, so you heard that there. He is saying that the official plan from the Trump administration is to get rid of federal income taxes through this tariff plan. All right, and just a few days ago, tariffs were announced 25% for Mexico and Canada and 20% for China, right? And the flip side of this is that this could increase prices slightly, right? We could see increase of prices. But if this was actually able to replace the federal income tax, then it would become a lot more voluntary, okay? So the federal income tax is involuntary. You have to pay it or you go to jail. But if only certain products and certain goods were affected by these tariffs, and eventually they would be produced inside the United States too, which would increase jobs and increase quality and eventually neutralize prices. But at least with tariffs, it's voluntary. So if the price of cars went up 10%, then it's up to you. It's a voluntary decision for you to buy this car and pay 10% more for the tariff. And that's essentially your tax, right, that you are going to be paying, instead of the tax being mandatory directly coming out of a portion of your income. You can decide which things you want to buy and which things you want to support. You could just support American-made goods exclusively and not have to face any type of tariff. But if you do need to buy these goods, then it's more voluntary. Now the tax is an option. Do you really want to buy this and pay the tax, pay the tariff, or not? All right. So I think this system could potentially work, right? I think they probably need some type of federal income tax to some degree, all right? But it definitely needs revamped and reworked. The tax code is a absolute mess and nightmare, and it's almost impossible to do by yourself, which is something that that should be a minimum requirement, is that everyone should be able to simply and easily do their taxes and tax returns without digging through documents and feeling like you have to have an accountant. You have to, right? Even if you're not doing anything complex, right? This is a situation you have to use some type of software, some type of online filing, or an accountant, something like that. It's very difficult and tedious for the average person to do their taxes all by themselves. So if they just printed it out and did it by paper, right? It's a lot to deal with, and it should be made a lot simpler. And potentially even things like flat taxes, they might move towards things like 10% flat tax federal. And then there's also tariffs and things like that to make up for these deficits, right? And there also needs to be massive spending cuts, which they are working on if there is going to be tax cuts, right? Because if you don't cut spending and you cut taxes, then this could potentially just even create more inflation, right? So let me know what you guys think down below. Please hit it up for me down there. It helps get these warnings out so people know. I want you guys to listen to what he is saying too on these tariffs really quick. He is talking about how these tariffs with Canada and Mexico will affect the United States and will affect them, and how we could change this situation and what could happen. So I want you to listen to more on him really quick, and then we'll talk more about it.
And what they said was, look, we're domestic American automakers, and if you put a 25% tariff on us, and you don't put it on the Germans, and you don't put it on the Koreans, and you don't put it on the Japanese, you're helping everybody but us. So come on, can you help us if we comply with USMCA? Meaning if we've got U.S. parts in our cars, can't you help us and think about it? And you know the president, he's the greatest businessman who's ever sat in that chair, and he understands the keys to business in America, and I think he's going to lean towards helping American business during this interim period of time. If they lived up to his terms, he'll probably allow them to have for this month only, and then of course April 2nd, you know, he said last night, it's on April 1st, but April 2nd, he's going to come out with his tariff agenda, and it is going to cause reciprocity in the world. Stop treating us poorly.
So explain to us, if you could, the strategy with Canada and Mexico, because right after the inauguration, the president came out and said there's going to be tariffs on Canada and Mexico. And then he came out and said, oh, no, there's not going to be. We're going to pause that for 30 days. Then he comes out yesterday and says that these tariffs are going into effect. And now today he's saying, well, maybe not on everything. I mean, is this push-pull? Is it taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back? I'm trying to figure out exactly what the strategy is.
So there's been never a step back. There was just a pounding forward move, which said, I need fentanyl and the border closed, right? Remember how we started this? You are our greatest trading partners, Canada and Mexico, right? If we are so important to you, why is the border wide open? Why do we have to build a wall? Why aren't you building a wall? Why aren't you respecting America? Why do you think it's okay to disrespect America? So what they did is they disrespected America. They had caravans coming in from Mexico. They had visas just flying off the shelf from Canada, and every criminal in the world and terrorist coming in through Canada. And the president said, I've had enough. You guys are totally disrespectful, and I'm going to teach you a bit of respect. So he says, tariffs. Then they say, hold on. We'll start to respect you. And they start doing work. Then Mexico calls and says, I'll put 10,000 troops on the border. And the Canadians say, I'll put 10,000 troops on the border. And he said, if you're going to stop it, I'll give you 30 days to stop it. Show me what you can do for 30 days. But does that sound a foot off the gas? That sounds like a foot on the chest. Okay?
So, Mr. Secretary, the critics of these tariffs say this is...
All right, so something to note too is that Canada has actually had tariffs on United States goods for decades now, specifically dairy products and agricultural products. States that are in the Northeast that are heavy dairy states like Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, all these states that have a ton of dairy farms, they are heavily tariffed and taxed from Canada, so they essentially cannot sell their milk and cheese and dairy products at a competitive price to Canada, right? They essentially block them out of the market and force people in Canada to buy Canadian cheese and milk and butter and dairy, right? And that's their prerogative. They can do that. They can encourage people to do it, but we can also do that too, okay? And the United States economy is exponentially larger and more effective and can cause more of a effect than the Canadian economy, okay? So this has actually been going on for decades, where farmers in places like Vermont along these borders, northern border states, cannot even sell their dairy into Canada at all, because they just triple the price if you sell it there, okay? And it's just unaffordable to the average person, and nobody wants to buy it because you can just buy Canadian dairy for a quarter of the price. Okay, so this has actually been going on, and that's just one of the products. There's like a ton of other things, like wood products, a bunch of other ones, but those are the main ones, as agriculture products and dairy products that have been targeted for a while now. And nobody said anything about that. That was never a big deal, and that's just because it's their best interest. They're not even saying, hey, it's because your country's border is unsafe and we need you to secure it. It's not even tied to anything else. It's just tied to economic, whatever's best for Canada, right? Economically, that's what it's tied to. And the United States should be able to take that position, same exact position as well too. We should be able to do whatever is best for us economically as well too, and whatever's fair. So thank you guys. Please hit it up for me down there. I hope you guys have big blessings for your life, your family. Hope you guys are staying prepared, staying stocked up, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.